we will be starting shortly, but let's wait for let's say 2 to 3 minutes before others also join the call. In the meantime, I will send the reminders. And for those of you who have just joined, I will be sharing this meeting minutes in chat. So you all can go and write your name in the attendees list. So there you go in chat.
Vivek, when you said chat earlier, you're like, hey, you can do that in chat. When you said it, then all of a sudden I heard my 14-year-old son saying chat. Apparently, if you're streaming Fortnite games and you're watching streamers do that, they're like responding to chat all the time as they're playing. So they're like, yeah, chat. Yeah, yeah, chat. They're like constantly talking to chat. I just can't help but think of the anonymous chat. Felt like we were streaming Fortnite for a second. It's just yo chat. Yeah.
Cool. So I think we are good to get started. So this is a weekly meeting. Just a second. So welcome everyone to Meshery's developer meeting. This is a weekly meeting that happens every Wednesday, and we talk about all the issues and PRs being worked on Meshery and its future roadmap. So today too we have a couple of items that we'll be talking about, and in case you also have something to share, make sure you mention those all in the meeting minutes. I have already dropped the link in chat. And so before we get ahead and get started with the topics, let's first follow Layer 5's tradition and make sure that all those who are joining us for the very first time to this call get the chance to introduce themselves. So if you are a newcomer to this call, you can unmute yourself and give your quick intro. And just a quick heads up that in case you are having any audio or mic issues, you can always introduce yourself in the chat too. So let's see who all are joining us for the first time today. So others, like, is it the first time that you're joining this call?
Okay. Hey Vivek, sorry for that. This is not the first time I'm joining the call. It's just like I'm not able to actively be in the meet. So that's a major issue with me. But yeah, like I'm trying my best to like contribute and be the part of community.
It's great to hear. And yep, welcome to the call. Anyway, others. Or Ruhi, is it the first time that you're joining the call? If yes, do you mind giving your intro? So I'll think that Ruhi is having some audio issues. I don't think we have any more newcomer on the call. So, but if we do, so please introduce yourselves in the chat. And once again, I will request you all to write your name in the attendees list so as to mark your attendance. So there's this link in the chat already. No sweat, Ruhi, you can give your intro in the chat too. So I think with that, let's get started. And so we'll be going in the sequence. So first item is a call for volunteers. So I'll be quickly, opening it and we'll be sharing the link in chat too. So recently on Meshery.io, there was a new page added, Meshery.io/extensions, and all these have not very good, description. They are not accurate. So if you are, into these, you have background into these, so you can help with, the description curation. So I have already shared the link in chat. You can go there and see if this is something you would want to work on. So we do have like a GitHub issues opened on it. I'll be sharing that in chat. You can comment in there and we'll assign you. So do we have any takers for this issue right now? Just know that you always can, sound off in Slack or in the GitHub comments, but let's wait for 5 seconds if anyone wants to take it up right now on the call.
Yeah, I might volunteer Buminje just in case he wants to. He had a lot of success with creating and publishing Meshery designs inside of the catalog. So that's not something that we quickly forget.
Sure, I will try to look into it. But like currently, I'm also assigned two more issues, so I think like finishing them first too, and after I would like to work on this. Before that, if anyone other wants to work on this.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thanks for calling that out, by the way, and not dropping your current commitments. So that's good. Sarab, are you? I wonder if you're the man. I don't know. Vivek, if you go back real quick, this is an easy win for anyone on the call that would like to do this. If no one on the call volunteers today, I'll go do this. But what's needed is we just put up this page. It's new on Meshery.io. It's a new page called extensions. Meshery is an extensible platform. It has a number of different, well, I was going to use the word extensions. I was going to use the word plugins. What I will say is Meshery has a number of different extensions. Those extensions come in different form factors. They come in different flavors and sizes, and they do different things. Some of the extensions are GitHub Actions. Some of them are adapters, Meshery adapters. Some of them are UI plugins. Some of them are remote providers. Some of them are. It kind of goes on for a little while. And we just put up the page. We just put up these cards. And each of the cards, when clicked, offers a small description of the extension. The information is a little bit inaccurate. So this one is for mesh map snapshots. The first part of the description is accurate. These snapshots provide a visual representation and make a comment on your pull request. Nice. Actually, I think the second part is accurate. I don't know that it's like Vivek. I'm not sure if considerations is fits very well in this case as a subject line, but it's just a short description of what this thing is, and any one of you can find that description on the docs pages. So it's really a straightforward item. If you go to a different extension, good. You can see right here under considerations, this is for a different extension, but it has the same considerations copied and pasted. So that's wrong. And that's mostly what is incorrect on each of these, is that the considerations section is wrong. So Sarab, I don't know if you're up for this. It sounds like maybe not.
Maybe I can, sure.
Okay. Hey, let me know if you have trouble, and
Sure.
we'll get it done. Nice. All right, we'll get it done today. I'll help if you need. Thanks for stepping up.
Thanks a lot for stepping up, Saurabh. So I'll be sharing the GitHub issues link in chat. You can comment there. So yep, thanks once again. Next up, we have this item from Arya. So do we have Arya on call? Looks we don't. So Ritik, do you mind sending a reminder to Arya in case he would want to join?
And Sudhanshu or Yash, neither of the two of you is reviewing that pull request by chance. Yash might be.
Components search one.
Yep. The
Yeah.
component search inside the registry.
I already reviewed it.
And how do we do? Is the bug fixed? Or?
Yeah, actually, in that PR he made annotation as false, but instead of that, we just need to remove the annotation property and it will fix the issue.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, good. So yeah, if you want to click play, just so everyone understands that there's a registry inside of Meshery. It's a small database. Every time you start Meshery, it's empty. Meshery self-registers 173 models right now, models of different types of infrastructure, different types of infrastructure that Meshery manages. And each of those models contain a bunch of components and relationships. And if you want to know what Meshery is capable of managing, then you can go to settings, registry, and maybe you're searching for something in specific. Well, until this bug was fixed, the search didn't quite work. So cool. Yash, there was another bug or two in this area, and I think Sudhanshu, have we given up on you making the height of the page dynamic? Like there's a couple of things that we're tracking here.
I think
guys
it
have-
was completed from my end. I'm just waiting for yours to.
Actually, there is like there is one test case which need to make sure that when we increase like when we increase the height of the registry with the browser, we also need to make sure we also load those components inside the that box that we have that section in that. But your PR doesn't cover that test criteria, so I just made sure that I will do that because it's kind of anything that will take time from your side. So I took that task from my own. So
Wait a second. Is there teamwork happening here? Is that what's going
Yeah.
on? Nice. Okay. So Sudhanshu did most of the work. Is that what you guys are saying?
yeah, he does most of the work. I just need to add a small thing which I will do quickly.
Oh, cool. All right.
So thank you for Yash and thank you to Yash and Sudhanshu. So in case you would want to, go and take a look at this PR, the link is in chat again. So okay, so next item is from Bhumin Jai, who is on the call. So do you mind sharing this item?
What exactly do I need to share about since it's like my first meeting, the developers' first meeting? So like, what exactly do I need to tell?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can start sharing your screen and basically talk about the changes that you have done in the PR. So others can take a look and give you feedback if there's any.
Sure, sure thing. 1 second.
Cool. Yeah. Just as Bhumanje is getting ready, I'll say it's just an opportunity for each of you to receive feedback on the work that you've done and make sure that it's getting due attention. As you go to present an item, try to offer up a little bit of context for everyone else in case they're unfamiliar with, the particulars of what's going on.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
It is, please go ahead.
So in this I basically changed the docs from like earlier the docs were like as I was uploading the designs more and more. So while I was going through the docs, so I found out that like the docs were not consistent with the current working. So I mainly added the screenshots and changed one of them. And instead of like where there is applications earlier it was mainly application written, so I changed it to design and some other rewordings and sample things. So like what should I more show, like current code or uh, anything else?
You can scroll down a little and so that would work.
Okay, okay, as you say. Let me show the current Meshery uh, page with this. 1 second. One second, one second.
Yeah, and for the folks, like I have shared the PR's link in chat. You also can go and take a look.
This was the issue I was working on. So, and I was following this guide as it was mentioned in the steps. So here it says about uh, applications and all those things, and here it mentions about the point where I faced some difficulty was like it said navigate to the application section in the configuration tab, but I was not able to find that. However, I figured it out like that it is changed to designs, and so I pushed on Slack that like, whether I should be changing this to whether we should change the docs or not. So these are the changes basically I did. First change is in the uh, toc.yml file. Like basically instead of the title is being changed from the importing applications to importing designs, and the link url I also changed that. Further, I added some screenshots with current working, like the main configuration one, and then the how it looks. So these two, the menu one and the how the import design works. Next
That's
I
great.
next in
So
the
thank you, like Bhuminja, I mean, thank you for documenting the steps and updating them.
okay.
So I wonder, like, whether or not renaming application to designs like holds. So I will ask for folks' feedback on this one, and if not, so let's go with your changes. Let's
Yep.
wait
No,
for 5 to 6 seconds.
one second. Let just before that, like I not only just changed the word application design, made some rewordings as well, like just somewhere a bit. So, like, should I read them all or to make
No,
sense, or
nope,
or you guys will check it
nope.
out?
Yep, we'll give it a read. This is helpful, though. This was helpful though to just you provide an overview, and had there been questions for you to be present to answer them. I don't have any questions. I took a quick look at this before, and at first blush, yep, thought that all you did was replace designs with application. But yeah, there's a little bit of rewording. You took some fresh screenshots, so it's much appreciated. I imagine this will merge relatively quickly.
Yep.
It's nice work.
Yep.
Thank you, Bhuminja. So thank you for sharing your updates.
Yep. Thank you. So should
Yeah.
I close that? Should I stop my screen, or is there anyone
Yeah,
more?
so I have already started sharing my screen, so I think you will be
Okay.
able to see my.
And
Okay.
Bomanje, other you had alluded to other items that you are currently working on. What else are you working on?
One yes, I also wanted to ask one more question. Like one issue I was working was related to Meshery cloud, and I was not able to find that repository. Like how where should I look for that repository? One second. This was the issue I was currently my focus was on this issue. It also requires some just rewording only. So this was the issue, and it mentions about Meshery cloud. However, I was
Yeah,
as
cool.
I
Very good. Yeah, Bomanje, let me answer your question, which is great. For the cloud, actually, we were just looking at it in the extensions repo a moment, or on the extensions card a moment ago.
okay.
That it's a remote provider. It's an extension. It is an invite only repo. It's
Okay.
closed because it has identities of all of us, anyone who has signed in. So it has some um, PII, some sensitive info.
Okay.
Any one of the individuals that you see as a co-host on this call have access to the repo, or they are participating in that project. I'd love to see you participating in the project. Um,
Okay.
it is one of those things that happens organically as you just spend more time here and engage and are impactful and start to get to know other contributors and things. It's one of those things where someone would eventually tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, you want to
Yep.
come work on this thing?" And
Yep.
that'd be wonderful. Is there So thanks for asking about that. Yes, you should probably unassign at the moment if it's assigned, just simply out of what I just said.
Okay.
Do you have any other issues that you're working on?
Yep, one more I have been working on, like uh, this one. This was
Yeah,
opened
we
by
can't see
Yash.
you. Cool.
Yep, so I will work on that.
Okay, we can't see your screen, but good. What type of issue is it? Actually,
It
you know what?
is
Yeah, I'm
okay.
sorry.
It
I don't care. Actually, here, what I'm trying to ask is, are you
uh,
working on publishing any more catalog items? Because that's super helpful. You've done a
um
great job.
I surely will, like as I work on this, like I can parallelly upload more designs, like if so
Yeah,
I
it's.
will be uploading. So
I plan on embarrassing you, showering you with recognition for because
sure.
and those help so much. As a matter of fact, if Chris is on later, he might talk about how it is that he's helping elevate designs that get curated and published inside of the Meshery catalog. And yeah, those are we're gonna start to track. Oh, there's Chris. We're gonna start to track metrics around items that are inside the catalog, how many times they've been viewed and cloned, deployed, that sort of thing. So yeah,
Okay.
good.
So
Let me know when.
just one more question. So should I unassign myself with that cloud one,
Yes,
or
yes, yep, yes. That's what I said before. Yes.
okay, 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 fine. That's fine.
Right. So next item is from Anis, but I don't think Anis is on with us. So we'll send a reminder. And so let's move on to the next item. That is from Matt, or I should say Mevrin, who is on the call, I think. So do you mind sharing this item? I'll just suppose that Mevrin is having any audio issues or other issues. So until he comes back, let's go to next item. That is from Shubham. So Shubham, do you mind sharing your item?
Yes, hello everyone. Let me show you. Okay, so the first update is the that I'm working on the relationship for the models, that is AWS controller models. So this is the one I'm working on, AWS EFS controller, and as I said earlier, that one component is there, which the name of it is field export. So field export is common for almost all AWS models. So there are nearly almost about 50 AWS models, and field export is common to all of them. So we are already done with two, I think CloudFront and EFS. And I have added an issue that request for a feature that allows AWS Star to cover all the components under AWS, so that in a single file, all the components under AWS can be configured in for the same relationship, like for a field, like for this one field export. If I write uh, AWS star here, so all the components under AWS will be covered in the same relationship file. And the second thing is that this was a binding relationship between config map and file system, which binds field export uh, between a Kubernetes model and file system. So let me demo this. Actually, this is a draft PR, and I have attached a link in the doc. So config map basically request file system for some files, and a field export is present in between, which acts as a firewall. But in this relationship, which I defined, the field export is unable to show up. But the relationship is set up here. If you go to the relationship part, you can see that it has an edge relationship from config map and from secret. So I have a draft PR, and I have requested review from Uzair and Ripple. So is there any feedback regarding this?
Yeah, hey, it seems like we would want the reverse direction on that inventory relationship.
This one. Okay, so could you please suggest me the reason?
Okay, well, can you tell me the reason that you have it going in the direction that you do?
Okay, so basically this means that field export. So what we have done here is that we have taken all the components under Kubernetes, means all the components under Kubernetes, and what we do is that uh, what field export actually does is that it exports some specific files or some specific configuration from this EFS file
Yeah.
system
Okay. Yep.
to
Okay. Okay. Here, I'll answer your question since it's not coming through real. So the field, the way that this is articulated at the moment, would mean that visually the way that this is interpreted is that that any Kubernetes component, like a pod, could be an inventory item, could be a child of a field export. Is that an accurate statement?
um, allow from that means from a pod to field export. So basically, field export, yeah, this is what it means. Pod is a child to field export because field export is transferring some data details or like a configuration file to a pod. So it is basically inheriting from a field export. So it is a child for a field export.
Very good. Does that make sense to you? Does that seem like does that feel comfortable?
Actually, it's like a child inherits something from the parent, and here a pod is inheriting a file from field export, which is basically it comes from file system. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's not the way that it's more like the parent is augmented by or mutated by the child. If or think about it from that perspective, if you would. Yeah. I mean,
So basically, you mean to say that a pod is like a field export is affecting a part of like a pod is affecting a sorry a field export exports something to the pod. So basically, field export is acting as a child here, and his pod is taking something from the child. Basically, is that what you mean?
yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, like what's a field export in general? By the way, you're only doing this for you're repeating this relationship once per ACK controller, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Because field export is here for almost all of them.
Yep.
For
Yeah, I
almost
got
all
it.
of them.
I understood. I wonder, did you put in an enhancement request so that you could
Yes,
articulate
yes,
regular expressions inside a model? That's great.
yes. I have raised an issue for this
So,
specific.
yep. So if you consider the field export a field export as a construct only exists for purposes of representing or representing an existing Kubernetes object, an existing Kubernetes resource.
Yes,
Is
yes.
that
It
right?
requires yeah, the Kubernetes resource needs to be present from before. You can't
Yeah.
add a new resource and it cannot do like that.
Yeah, very good. So if you think about it from that perspective as well, reflect on that if you would, as you think about the direction of the relationship. I submit to you that you'd want to invert it. And then I would also say you might have a feature request as you look to invert it.
Okay,
Something to
so I
think
need
about.
to
Say it again.
okay, so basically the field export thing, I need to study more about it. I understand your perspective, but uh, I thought it from another direction. But I understand your perspective, what you want to tell, and I get that thing because pod needs to be present from before. Like you can't add a new pod inside the mesh map, and it cannot like access the field export part.
Nice. Yeah. 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 Right. Yeah. If you let that settle on you for a little bit, and if you think about the way in which inventory relationships have been used to date, it's the child that is the mutator of the parent, and it's the parent that is the uh what would you say, the rock, so to speak, the big item, the real thing, and it's this other child that becomes the inventory of the parent, that is an attribute of it, or a mutator of it, or an additional property, or like it's that child thing, like in the case of like a deployment and a config map as an inventory item. It's the deployment that's like the real thing. And the config map isn't really valuable standalone, whereas the deployment is. It's just that the deployment is being modified by the config map to tweak its behavior a little bit. But the deployment would otherwise kind of stand unto its own. And in the same way, a Kubernetes object like a pod would sort of stand unto its own. And if you want to represent that pod in context of ACK, then you might assign a field export to it so that the AWS systems and Kubernetes can come together, or one can augment the next. In this case, field export, yeah, anyway, think about it. If those statements are true, perhaps you arrive at an inverted relationship. And if you do, I wonder if you don't end up with a different enhancement request around the way that you can express or match models. Because imagine that you want to say, hey, I would like to match the kind field export from model AWS hyphen star to any kind in model Kubernetes. That should be possible today, except for the AWS star, which you already opened a feature request for. So maybe you don't. Maybe you only have one feature request. Think about it. Good, Shubham. Thanks a bunch for listening, hearing me out. Do you have other relationships to review?
No, basically, I'm just adding upon this because there are too many components. So, since the feature request is not added yet, so this needs to be manually done until the feature
Yeah.
is added.
Yeah, it's a manual copy and paste pretty fast, right? But like that wasn't even asking about this. Like that's a copy and paste thing. I'm asking, do you have any other relationships to review other than field export?
Yeah, this one, the edge relationship between config map and file system, which required field export as a binding. I presented this one. So this is a draft PR I have raised because the field export is not appearing here as a binding, but the file system shows this as a present relationship, as relationship from config map and secret.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Do you know do you know why it is that you would represent field export as an inventory item for some components and as an edge relationship for others?
Actually, field export, what it does, if the file system, for example, there is a pull request from a Kubernetes resource for some data. So what the field export will basically do, that it will take data from file system and it will send the data to the
Great.
resource which requested.
But good. Good. I'm not asking for an explanation of what the two are. I'm asking why the difference. Why the difference in representation? The difference in relationship type.
Okay, so field export actually serves two purposes. Apart from sending the data to the Kubernetes resources, it also acts as a firewall. So for config map and secret only. So the field export, if you represent, let me show it here. Um, just a SQL. So if you see this two, so you see this two sends the data only for config map and secret. So basically what it does, it takes the file from the config file system and it sends the data to config map or a secret. So for this purpose, it is acting as a firewall between the Kubernetes resource, that is config map or secret, and the file system. So it basically regulates that whether the config map or the secret can access this file or not. So this is a permission relationship. Like it permits the config map or secret to access this specific file. Does that make sense?
Yep. I mean, did you describe, I might have missed it. Did you describe both or did you only describe the permission one?
Only the permission one, because the inventory one, as I said this, that the inventory is basically because the field export is because the field export, it shows that the field export is sending some file or a configuration to the Kubernetes resource. But here, the reverse thing is happening. The Kubernetes resource is actually requesting for a file from the file system.
Right.
So basically, what it does is that the file system can both work for push and pull models. Like you can push push configuration from the file system to the Kubernetes resource, or you can pull something like from a Kubernetes resource. You can push the data from file system, or you can pull from a Kubernetes resource. It acts both ways.
Cool. Hey, I just dropped a link in the Zoom chat. Could you tell me if that link points to an example of the permission-centric use case?
Will you please repeat the question?
Say it again.
Please repeat the question.
Yeah, is this one of the resources that you're saying the field export helps bind a permission to?
Field export.
Yeah, so the permission-centric relationship that you're proposing, it helps, it interacts with the resource, the EFS controller resource file system. Is that right?
Yes, file system.
Okay, nice. So this resource is an example of a resource that would benefit from a permission-centric or a binding-centric style relationship with a field export. And gosh, and they might just not have their docs up to speed.
Actually, I didn't. The ACK models don't have proper documentation. So basically, I was looking into the CRDs for better information. So the CRDs mentioned that the field export, that the permission relationship can only work for config map and secret, because that's the only option available there. If you doesn't get that, you put the field export, and in the two section, they have only two options: the config map and the secret.
Okay. And okay. I've probably taken up enough of everyone's time. Yeah, that's interesting that we would represent that relationship two different ways. Okay. It's good. Other relationships that you're working on?
Okay, so I have not completed the inventory one. So once I'm done with that, so the file system, the EFS controller has two more components which need to be completed. That is the adopted resource, and one is the access point. So I will continue with this. I have not studied them in depth now. So before writing the relationships, I need to study them first.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Please go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, just to confirm that you're saying that, hey, given that the documentation is not robust. It looks auto-generated, and that's fine, but it also means I might be missing some info. I put a second link into Zoom chat. This link is to I think you'd said you were reading the custom resource definitions instead. So this
Yes,
is
yes,
okay. This is the CRD for file system export. Or I'm sorry.
file
I'm sorry.
systems.
Yeah, file systems. Does it describe the relationship to field export in here anywhere?
Actually, it's not described here, but if you use that EFS in the AWS, you will see that it gives an option to let the field export acts. Actually, I have an AWS account, so I tried there. And for the file system, field export is present there. So basically, it helps to export the configuration files from the file system to any Kubernetes resource.
Cool.
You can
Okay.
use that on AWS
Gotcha.
EKS.
So yeah, hey, if we get time, can we circle back to you? You can log in and show us.
I don't have my AWS logged in.
Yeah. We can circle back to you toward the end of the call and see if we can get it figured out. I'm just having a hard time finding where I don't want to hold up the PR on my ignorance. So yeah, if you can share the source of like where you're.
Okay, sure. Surely I can. If the meeting time permits, I can share it right now, or I can share it in the Slack.
Let's come back to you, Shubham. Once you are ready with the account, so I think that would make sense.
Yep.
Surely.
All right, Shubham. So thank you for sharing your updates. I'm sharing my screen once again. So next item is from Chris, unless Marin is not ready yet. So just to this update.
Yeah, your voice cut in and out, but I think it's between Matthew and Chris. There's like some things that they might want to share.
Yes, I'm back
Hi.
here. Go
Good
ahead,
job.
Chris.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, I got the items here. We got a blog post in Flight to just, I guess, describe the increasing integration between Artifact Hub and Meshery, with the Meshery designs now being a official Artifact Hub artifact kind. So that work was completed last week. The blog post should be going up shortly. And then, yeah, I think the second item here is to discuss maybe a broader integration of the Meshery catalog as a Artifact Hub repository. If I'm understanding that correctly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Or I'll say it like this: if I go out, export a Meshery design, and I make sure that it has the artifact hub.yaml, like the metadata file to help, and I put that design into a public repository, maybe I start to generate a few designs. And so I have an HTTP accessible repo or repo, I guess to use the term loosely, just maybe a collection of 2 or 3 designs. There's an artifact hub metadata file that's in the same repo. I can't use another word other than like, because artifact hub, tell me this, Chris, if you know, like, as you go, I guess what I'm trying to identify is like, of the first time that someone wants to have a Meshery design listed in Artifact Hub, they'll go through this process of just like adding their repo, telling Artifact Hub to list a new repo. Here's the location of it. Artifact Hub will reach out, sort of scour that repo for a metadata file, look for, sort of index the repo and look for design files. And then I think in concept, those design files, then I suppose the way that they get listed on Artifact Hub is, I think it's just one Artifact Hub I don't want to use the word repo again, but one artifact hub repo that you open up and then you would see it has this many designs. I think.
Yeah, each artifact has its own metadata file, so that's how they track the actual artifacts, I guess, within. And then yeah, I mean, I think the artifact hub repos from their point of view are so closely aligned with like a actual GitHub repository that you can almost use the two interchangeably. So yeah, but otherwise I think you're right. There's the repo metadata file, and then within there, whatever data structure you want pretty much, then there's a metadata file per artifact or package, along with the definition of that. So in this case, the definition of the design.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wonder if, so we have this GitHub repository, github.com/meshery/meshery.io. And it's the repo for the project website for Meshery. And that project website has the calendar and blah, blah, blah. And part of it has the catalog. The catalog is just a collection of design files. Yash, as I go to ask Chris this question, I think Chris, what I'm suggesting is, oh, hey, maybe that's a great first example repo to add an artifact hub metadata file into that repo, and then maybe we can go get that listed in artifact hub, and great, there would be 66 or 84, however many design files are inside the catalog would be like the first listing on artifact. Yash, when do we mutate the design files as they get presented in the catalog? Vivek, do you mind navigating there, or like to the extent that those, I don't know, there's a diagram of this. There's an architectural diagram that shows the sequence flow of when someone like Bomanje creates a design, decides that it's been curated and it's probably helpful to share with others. Any of us can choose to publish that design, and it goes through this review process. An email goes out, and maintainers review, and when they click approve, you know what? Maybe we should bring up the Meshery architecture deck that has this. Yash, is there a page that has this architecture on there?
I'm not sure about that, but
okay. How terrible! How terrible! Anyway, when those designs are made public onto the website, there is a process of mutating those designs, Yash, that technically changes the format of the design file from its native format to one that is more friendly to Jekyll, right? It adds some front matter metadata.
No, actually, we don't mutate the design file at all. Like, this already happens from the client side in the Meshery. We just mutate the description and caveats of the design file. That's all.
Okay, so here's the catalog, meshery.io/catalog. Here's lots of designs. Hopefully these make great first artifacts on an artifact hub. If we go to navigate this, so
you are not sharing the screen.
It's funny. Zoom is lying to me. Perhaps Vivek, are you still with us?
Yes, I am on.
Gosh, is it coming through now or no? I'm sorry about this. Anyway, Yash, I'm in disbelief that we don't modify the design files, that we don't augment them, mutate them, and add some YAML front matter. I swear that that's what we do. Anyway, the goal here, what I'm trying to get to is to enable Chris to take a next step to be able to publish all of these designs as artifacts in Artifact Hub. And I say these because I think I'm sharing my screen, but I guess I'm not. Josh,
For me, it's still not visible.
Yes, so I have stopped sharing.
Yeah, can one of you guys share the screen, please? Can you guys just go to Meshery, github.com/meshery/meshery.io? If you would. And Yash, you're 100% positive that we don't mutate the design files? Okay, we do. Good. Oh, good. Let's just assume that we do. Like we do, because otherwise Jekyll is going to have a hard time interpreting them and putting them into a catalog. So I'm sure that, yeah. Anyway, Chris, that's what that statement is about. It's like, oh, hey, we've got some that we think are curated, useful to people. They're sitting out there in this public repo. What do we need to do to, start to take advantage of that new integration? Is the question.
Sure. Yeah. And so I guess I see like there's some sort of automated process you described of publishing these that could potentially be extended to maybe create things like Artifact Hub metadata, but then there's also maybe the work of porting the existing catalog.
Yep. Yeah, precisely. On that first item, it could just be just a small bash script, or like there's a workflow, a GitHub workflow that runs anytime that someone decides to publish a design into the catalog. A workflow kicks off a GitHub workflow here inside of this repo initiates and retrieves that info. I'm going to point out a sequence diagram that covers this. It's slide 36 in the Meshery architecture deck. So I put the link into Zoom chat. It's just a simple sequence diagram that says there's an approval process for publishing things. But yeah, the technicals of some of the systems that are involved, there is a GitHub workflow that Yash was just looking at, relatively small in nature, that could, to your exact point, be it could be augmented with the generation of the artifact. One of the points of confusion in my mind, just out of ignorance, is whether or not there needs to be one Artifact Hub metadata file per design repo, or if there needs to be one metadata file per Meshery design, if it's like a 1-for-1 or if it's a 1-to-many. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely one metadata file per artifact. So in this case, per design, there would be one metadata file. But then there's also there's a separate kind of metadata file, which is the repository. And I guess, so we already created one for the test integration we did. So I guess, I don't know if we would kind of move that over, or if they support like multiple locations for kind of that feed into one Artifact Hub repository. But that's just detail stuff.
Yeah.
But there would have to be one metadata file per artifact, I believe.
Okay. No sweat. Hey, since we're all learning here, especially me, here's something that helps reinforce a little bit about how it is that Artifact Hub can work. I think is telling toward our understanding of how it works, or my understanding with how it works of Meshery designs. That very same repo, github.com/meshery/meshery.io, that is, if you go to meshery.io/charts, that's Meshery's Helm chart repo. And so the Helm charts that you find for Meshery on Artifact Hub are under the charts folder, which is also just published under HTTP Meshery.io/charts. And, we've been releasing those for a long time. And guess what? There are two charts. There's the Meshery chart, and that's a tar GZ, and it has, I don't know, like 9 or 10 other charts, because it contains charts for all of the adapters that you may or may not want to deploy. Interesting. And then the second chart, this Meshery operator chart, well, it's the Kubernetes operator for Meshery that runs separately inside of each of the Kubernetes clusters that you're managing. And so I think it's just a single chart. I don't think it has subcharts necessarily. So this is kind of an interesting example of like, oh, here's one repo, artifact hub metadata file, I think, that I believe covers two Helm charts to two different, Meshery and Meshery operator. And one of the Helm charts has subcharts. So sort of an interesting use case to study and understand how, what we might need to do. To your point, Chris, and it might be flexible, by the way, so it might work both ways, that you could have a metadata file, one per design, or maybe one that covers a couple of designs. I have no idea. One thing that I will say is one of the first things that you had said was, oh, that, hey, would it be feasible or would it make sense to, in the same moment that we're publishing a Meshery design, would it potentially also make sense in that moment to just, auto-generate the artifact hub metadata file, that the one that you guys see on the screen is like the fourth or fifth artifact down. Yeah. Would it make sense to generate? Yeah, makes total sense. As a matter of fact, I would do us all one better maybe and say, well, or in the moment that Meshery, in the moment that you download your Meshery design file, and Yash, if you're driving, if you would indulge me, if you've got the playground handy, or Vivek or something, to visit the playground and to go to a design and choose to export the design, you can export the design in a couple of different formats. One of those formats is as an OCI image. And Matthew might know this already, but OCI images are really nothing more than a tar-GZ. In fact, if you choose to export a Meshery design as an OCI image, it's an OCI image of your, yep, thanks, Bumanje. As an OCI image, it will be a tar-GZ of one file. So in that very moment that Chris suggests, actually, Meshery server we can sort of go back a little bit in time before we start to deal with the catalog. And instead of generating those artifact hub files, metadata files at a later phase during catalog publishing, we could actually go back to Meshery server, that point in time at Meshery server, and say, hey, anytime that you export as an OCI image, because it's an image and it can contain any number of files, let's just, by default include this artifact hub metadata file, which is pretty simple. Is a pretty simple feature to yeah. So if you're here and you go to download the design file, I guess Sudhanshu's driving. Good, thank you, Sudhanshu. And there's the OCI image, so that just immediately downloads a tar-GZ. It should just have one file in there. It looks like it's just a .tar. Or maybe it unzipped, or maybe yeah. It looks like we need to do an enhancement there if we could. Anyway, Chris, hopefully that makes sense, that like, yes, to what you'd said about generating a metadata file, but perhaps put that load on Meshery server so it's just implicit anytime that you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, maybe I'll learn a little more about how the metadata has to be and what our options are. See how it's currently working with the Helm charts.
Yeah. Nice. We'll stay tuned for next week's update. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's perfect. Hey, thanks for cranking out a blog post too. And we just, for my part, I fail at that so terribly, to make some noise, and it's hurtful.
Yeah. No problem.
Right, so thank you, Krish. And next, Mevrin, are you all ready to share your item? If we can go.
Yes. You hear me?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. I will show my screen. Okay, it's not the good one. Do you see my screen currently?
Yes, yes.
We can see it.
Yep. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, because I don't see. So do you see the Chudo brother page here? So I'm work
Yeah, please
on
go on. We will let
the.
you know. We will let you know if there's any. Yeah, please.
Okay. So yes, I worked on the this issue where we were running the Meshery CTL X model command. It was showing this message, and it should return the helper instead. So on the first fix, I here it's what we have currently. So on the first fix I did, I just took that part and put it here because the pre-run was running and the error was coming from the check if the server was running. But reading that, it looked like to me this part is not really necessary here because we just calling the root command just to have the helper displayed. So I think that I should only remove this and it will fix the issue. But I'm not sure that it should be the good way to go.
Yeah, I see Ripple is
So
reviewing this PR, so Ripple might have some comments here.
what?
Yeah, so reviewer Ripple, who is also on the call, he might have some
Yeah.
comments, feedback.
So like when with the PR on the right hand side, with the fix the behavior to display the helper function. So in the description
Yes.
of the PR, you are logging twice the error message, like the usage of the command. It should be only one time. And the second review that I added was it will be better if you can move the uh, checking if the number of arguments we required is enough or not in the argument section.
Yes. But here we're just calling the root command. So does that pre-check really necessary here?
Yeah, precheck for model we have to see if the server is running or not. And for the precheck, what I'm asking is moving the relocating the checking if the number of argument is equal to 0 or not in the argument section. Otherwise, the prerequisites are okay.
Okay. So
Also, there is
yes,
a
I will.
comment. Yep, there's a comment in chat from Lise too. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So yes, I going to update the pull request with your feedback, and we will see.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you, Mevrin, for sharing your updates. So I'll be
Real quick, just to drive that home, or just to add clarification to the comment that I put into Zoom chat. It was just more like since Matthew is going through the pain of trying to figure this out for this command, the model command. Ideally, like this work is, I don't know, you guys would be surprised how many times we've covered this exact topic. So many times, and so many times I'll say the exact same thing. Hopefully this is like a one-time thing that we figure out that we're pretty uniform in how it is that each of the commands respond and behave, that it's just the same function call is invoked, like, or the same response is given to the user very consistently, like, we're sorry, we could not authenticate your session. Please double check your token, run Meshery CTL system login if needed, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, some phrasing and some help that's given back, and that it's, it's the same helper thing. There are some gotchas about some commands don't need to authenticate. And so there's a couple of loopholes, but broadly, most of them need to invoke a REST call to Meshery server, and most of those calls require to be authenticated. And so we'll get a big bang for our buck here with the effort that you're giving, Matthew, because hopefully this is for 90% of the commands, they would all kind of follow this same goals.
Thank you, Lee. And like, in case if you want to take a look, you can go to Matthew's PR. I've shared the link in chat again. So that was it. We are 5 minutes over, and so we covered a couple of items, but there are some that's to be left, and so we'll be covering them all in the next meeting on priority. But that's all for today, and thank you for joining. And like, if you want to get overview on the community and various projects and how you can participate, so don't miss to attend tomorrow's newcomers call. I have shared the calendars link in chat. You can subscribe to that to get all the updates. So that was it. Thank you once again, and bye. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks, Vivek. Thanks, Josh. See you guys.